So welcome everyone to tonight's webinar, Start Early, Stress Less on Your Path to College. My name is Derek Carroll, and I'm the Director of Member Engagement with the Coalition for College. Before we get started, just wanted to let you all know that the Q&A feature of Zoom is turned on, so you can submit questions through there. However, many of you did submit questions when you registered, so we'll be addressing some of those as well, and then moving on to live Q&A. For those of you who this might be your first Coalition event, let me share a little bit about who we are. So the Coalition is more than 150 colleges and universities with a proven commitment to access, affordability, and student success. And together we provide a set of tools called My Coalition to help students learn about, prepare for, and apply to college. So we believe Coalition schools are smart college choices as they demonstrate their commitment by providing responsible financial aid and graduating students in a timely manner, including those who have been historically underrepresented in higher education. So Coalition schools outperform the national averages when it comes to retention and graduation rates, which are very important factors for you to consider when thinking about the college that you want to attend. So Coalition schools represent a wide range of size and selectivity, so there are plenty of options for you to explore. So all of the tools that we provide are designed to help students start early and stress less in their college planning. And My Coalition also serves as an easy to use college application platform that helps students leverage all the good work that they've done since the beginning of high school. However, My Coalition is much more than just an application. It's designed to engage students as early as 9th grade, just like many of you on this call are. So there's the Locker, which is a free private digital storage space for you to stay organized throughout high school. You can upload any kind of file and record videos to track your story over time. And when it's time to apply during your senior year, you can reflect back on your journey or even attach Locker files to your Coalition application. There's also the Collaboration space where you can invite a mentor. That could be a teacher, a coach, an advisor, or a relative to join you on My Coalition. To give you feedback on your college planning. So you can share a file from your Locker or from your college list, which takes us to the college list. So you can search Coalition and non-Coalition schools, and you can begin building your college list there. You can also opt in to receive information directly from Coalition schools like the ones we have joining us today to begin learning more about them. There's also something called My Coalition Counselor, where you can receive college planning advice to your inbox tailored to your grade level. So this has been developed with admissions officers from Coalition schools, and these articles and short videos help you learn about and prepare for college. There are also Coalition events, which is like the one that you're viewing right now. So you'll be one of the first to hear about it when registration opens for panels like this one, where you can ask your college admissions questions directly to Coalition member schools, as well as Coalition virtual college fairs to explore smart college choices. Be sure to register for our next virtual fair, which is happening next month in May. So creating a My Coalition account is very easy. Just go to mycoalition.org, which is on the screen and also located right behind me as well. So I did want to share with you a little bit about what is new this year that's been designed especially for 9th and 10th grade students. So My Story, there are new features on the My Coalition platform that provides a friendlier entry point for 9th and 10th grade students. As a 9th or 10th grade student, you're first taken to the My Story screen, and this area provides you an introduction to the tools that are helpful to start using right away in high school. So the first thing is the About Me section, which is going to ask you a few more details about you, where you go to school, just enough for us to be able to personalize the account and share a little bit of info and help us tailor communications appropriately for you. Next, you have the opportunity to record a short video. And this is a really great feature and encourages you to document your thoughts in that process as you go throughout high school. You can even develop interview skills along the way. And in 9th grade, 10th grade, and as you move forward, these prompts actually change with you so that you can explore and reflect even more. So these videos will automatically be stored to your digital Locker, which is that free private space, and you can use that and reflect back on that at any time. And that's where the last part of My Story takes us, and that's a chance to practice uploading files to your Locker. As I said, this is a great organization tool, and later it can help serve as a reminder of all the things that you've accomplished over time. Once you complete 2 of those 3 sections of My Story, you also get a special stream of college advice that comes from our member schools, so make sure that you do that as well. So something that's really exciting that I wanted to share with you all before we move forward is we just recently announced a new incentive that's for 9th and 10th grade students. So you actually have a chance to win one of 10 $500 scholarships to help fund your college exploration and your college preparation. So whether that's going to use that money for a campus visit, or if you're going to use it for any sort of college prep activity, you can actually do that. So, and half of these scholarships are going to students who work with community-based organizations. So I definitely encourage you, any 9th and 10th grade student right now on this, to create an account, complete those steps, and then you'll be entered into the drawing. And so, as I said, tapping into all that the coalition has to offer is very easy, as simple as creating your account. So go to mycoalition.org, create an account, and then, of course, don't forget to follow us on Instagram. If you have any more questions following this webinar, because we're about to get started, feel free to reach out to us via our info box at info@coalitionforcollege.org. All right, so now that I've talked everyone's ear off, I would love to present to you our admissions professionals joining us today, who are a great group of folks from Coalition Schools. So they're going to share some of their knowledge and expertise with us and answer a lot of the questions that you all have already submitted. So I'm going to go ahead and let our admissions counselors introduce themselves, and they're each going to share a fun fact with you as well. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Brittany from Oberlin College.
Hi folks, my name is Brittany Sherrod. I'm one of the senior assistant directors of admissions for the college, and I'm very excited to be speaking with you all this evening. Thank you for submitting such great questions. I know we're going to have a lot of really great stuff to share. My fun fact is that just last weekend, for the very first time, I tried Thai food. We have a Thai restaurant in Oberlin, and it's been here for almost a year, but I hadn't had it yet, and it was delicious. So that's my fun fact for the evening.
Yum, jealous. Hi, my name is Brenna Heinz. I am an associate dean of admission and the director of recruitment at Swarthmore College. My fun fact is that I have a little mutt dog named Sprout. Maybe not super fun, but I love her. She's my best friend. So.
Folks, my name is Logan Sparks. I work at the University of Kentucky as an assistant director of admissions for recruitment. It's a lot of words strung together. And I'm having a hard time thinking of a fun fact, but I guess I'll do this. I want to make a plug too. So many years ago, was the first person in the state of Kentucky to ever give blood at the age of 16. Which is so random. But now I'm an avid blood donor. And especially in times like these, we rely on blood donations a lot. So that's kind of random and nerdy, but it's pretty unique. I'm the only one. So go give blood if you can.
Hi, everyone. My name is Richard Haynes. I'm an associate director for diversity outreach at the University of New Hampshire. And if you were to ever visit UNH, just tell anyone, show me the bow tie guy. I wear bow ties every day and I'm known as the bow tie guy. They know how to get you to my office. Looking forward to seeing you.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for sharing that. So we're actually going to get into answering some of the questions for this evening. We actually received a lot of questions from you all when you signed up and registered. So these are just a few of the topics that we're going to address. But just so you know, the next 50 minutes, they're going to answer as many questions as you all have. But be sure to check out our existing My Coalition Counselor articles too, and stay tuned for future webinars that will go even more in depth into some of these topics. But for now, let's go ahead and dive right in and have our presenters answer as many of your questions as possible in the next 50 minutes. So the first question that I'm going to ask is about the high school curriculum, and I'm going to throw this one out to Brenna. So one student wanted to know, do AP and IB classes give you a better chance of getting into college?
Great question. So here's the deal with us evaluating your academics. First, we are in the business of asking ourselves, can the student succeed? If we admit them, will they succeed at our institution? So that's what we care about. We're not in the business of sitting and counting up the number of advanced courses versus IP or AP, whatever. If challenging courses are available to you and you are interested in those subjects, I would recommend taking them, right? Because that's how you learn what you're interested in. You want to challenge yourself. You're going to college because you want an academic challenge, you want to grow, but we are not about you need to take the most advanced classes in everything that your high school offers. So some high schools offer like 20 APs. Some high schools offer 0, right? One is not better than the other. What you need to do is say, what does my high school offer? What am I interested in right now? What might I be interested in the future? And can I challenge myself in those areas? And if you're like, look, I want history and we don't offer AP history, that's okay. We're not going to say, excuse me, go transfer high schools and find an AP history class. We are about evaluating you in the context that you're in. So yes, I want you to challenge yourself when you're interested, when it makes sense. But I will also say that we all want you to have balance in your life, because as a college student, you got to have balance. And so as a high school student, you need to make those choices and say, look, maybe 2 AP classes is right for me, but this third one is not, because I'm doing all this other stuff. And we value your ability to make that choice as a high school student. So don't feel like the message is pile on, pile on, pile on with whatever my high school offers. It's, hey, I like this, so I'm going to try it and take the challenging course in this other thing. I don't like it. I'm really bad at it. It's okay to say that's not the AP course for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. So the next question is actually going to go to Richard, and it plays off of that one. So a student wanted to know if their school doesn't offer any honors or advanced classes, and there aren't really a lot of diverse options for them to take, what should they do?
So sorry about that. So my thinking is a lot of schools, as Brenna said earlier, maybe won't have a lot of IB courses or AP courses. And if you're just in a solid college prep program, then what you want to do is focus on, let's even take you back a little bit. So what I'd like for you to do, since you're 8th and 9th and 10th graders, go off and look at the colleges that you think you would like to go to. Look at what they're requiring of you, right? And then create a little chart. 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Core courses, math, science, foreign language, social science, English, right? Pin this on the wall. And now your journey is to literally at the end of the year, fill this chart up with as many A's as possible. What are you going to fill it up with? Math, science, foreign language, social science, and English. Now keep this in mind. Some of your schools may say only 2.5 years of social science. Students who really do well, they put 4 years of social science on there. They've gone above and beyond the call of what the school has asked and made all these admissions counselors extremely happy. Because as Brenna said, we want to make sure that when you arrive, that you could truly, truly succeed and not have to stress out, become great alumni and brag about us. So that's what you want to do. Those 5 core courses, focus on it. College prep doesn't matter, but just be the best you can be in those courses.
Thank you, Richard. Love the hard copy there. The next question goes for you, Brittany, and I think this was one that came in a couple of times, actually. Students kept wanting to know what's the best curriculum to take, or what are the best classes that a student can take or should take?
I can answer this question so quickly because it's Richard's list. Make sure you have a balanced course load. Those 5 different classes, those 5 areas, if you can check that box for each of those subjects, at least 3 to 4 years that you've been in high school, that is the different range and the best classes for you to take. And just like was first mentioned, if your school offers more rigorous courses in those different departments and it's a good fit for you, maybe you love learning Spanish, but maybe science isn't your thing, taking that advanced Spanish class, that community college Spanish class, that AP Spanish class would be a really good fit. Whereas maybe not necessarily taking the AP English is the best for you. Just keep checking those boxes, and having each of these classes, those 4 to 3 years, will put you on a really good path of having a well-balanced and competitive transcript for the colleges that you apply to later on.
Thanks, Brittany. So Logan, if a student then decides to take online courses, say that their school doesn't offer something and they do it online, is that okay? What do colleges think about that in terms of admissions?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. And I'll be honest, one I don't receive quite as often, but I think that's a great option. It's a good idea to talk with your counselor at school, talk with your family, your support network, whoever that may be, to decide if an online course is going to be for you. Online courses are different than in-person courses. You guys have had a lot of experience with that this year because of the pandemic, unfortunately. But for some people, online learning is not the best method. For me, I would prefer to be in person. It's harder for me to concentrate when I'm taking an online course. So I think it's really dependent on you and your study habits and what works for you. So again, talk with your counselor at school, talk with a teacher, maybe see if you think that type of learning environment is going to be a good fit for you. If it is, and you can be successful in that, that's great. Another thing I wanted to mention about classes that maybe your school doesn't offer, if you're interested in, let's say, computer science, or you're interested in, trying to think of maybe another obscure major that your school does, maybe like you're interested in, let's say, interior design or architecture, and maybe your high school doesn't offer classes in those areas. If you listen to TED Talks, or if you are an avid podcast listener, or if you have taken some sort of initiative to do some learning on your own outside of the courses that you take at school, you can absolutely tell colleges about that. Write that on your list of activities. This subject area is not offered at my school. So over the summer, I decided I was going to teach myself about computer science. Tell us those things, because we want to see students who take initiative to learn things that aren't necessarily required of them. So that's another good way to learn about or incorporate some subject areas, subject matter that maybe they don't offer at your school, but you're still really interested in.
Thank you, Logan. And I forgot to share my fun fact, but a fun fact is I actually grew up about 5 minutes from the University of Kentucky. So that's my fun fact. So that actually kind of leads us to things that students are doing that aren't necessarily in the school building or a part of the school curriculum. So about activities outside of the class. So Brenna, a student wanted to know, is it important to participate in clubs or organizations in high school?
Yes, if you can, if they're available, if you have time. A lot of folks do other things outside of school, including work, including family responsibilities. So really, the way that you should think about activities in this big activity list that you're going to have to fill out when you are applying is, what we're asking is not, what are the fanciest clubs and activities at your school that you're involved in? We are asking, how do you spend your time outside of eating, sleeping, and schoolwork? Because you better be doing those things and you don't need to tell me about them. How else are you spending your time? So if there are clubs and organizations and sports that are offered to you and you're like, I have time for this, I love it, do it. Do those things that give you life. But if you're like, look, I'm also working part-time, which is awesome, or I have to pick up my little brother after school and I'm taking him home and I'm playing basketball with him and then my folks are getting home, that's an activity. You are spending your time doing that. That's important, right? Don't think that we think that that's not important and that we only value debate and newspaper and soccer. If debate, newspaper, and soccer are your jam, do it. But if other things are also your jam, if you're self-teaching, right? Logan was kind of talking about this. If you're doing things outside of that realm, put that on your application. So yes, do things that give you life. Again, it's about this balance, because you're going to need to do that in college. We want you to find those things outside of academics that give you life. So find those in high school. Start now. Explore.
Thanks, Brenna. So actually that leads to a question that came in a couple of times as well, which was, what types and how many extracurriculars should students put on their application, which I'm going to ask Brittany to answer for us.
You should put the types of extracurriculars that you're excited about on your list. We're looking for the things that you're passionate about. Just like Brenna said, it doesn't have to be that sounds the most collegiate in a way. It needs to be the one that really you've dedicated your time and your passion to. If that is teaching everyone in your neighborhood how to yo-yo, then put that down. Let us know that that was your thing, why you discover it, why that's so important to you. That's what we want to know, because those are the skills, the passions, the interests that you're going to bring to our community. We as admission counselors are looking for individuals to bring life and joy to our campus. So this extracurricular list shows us what type of person and what type of connections you're going to make with your peers when you're on our campus outside of the classroom. It's very different between college and high school. You are taking maybe 7 or 8 classes right now at a time. In college, sometimes you might just be in 4 to 5. The majority of your time is interacting with each other and engaging with one another. So the extracurricular list shows us how you engage with your community and the things that you're excited about. So it doesn't have to be a list that's chock full to the brim, maxing out all the spaces. It really just needs to be a list of the things that are most important to you, the things that you most value, because that's what we're looking for. I'll also mention some of the things we're hinting at here, whether it's the classes that you're taking or the extracurriculars that are available to you. We will not penalize you if something is outside of your reach or you do not have access to it. Right? We are looking to see that you've fully embraced, you fully sort of taken charge of what it is you do have access to. And we're not looking for things above or beyond that. We're just looking to see what you are most excited about.
So I really love that you actually said you're looking for students to bring life to your campus, and you know, students who show what they're interested. A question just came into the Q&A about what qualities do you look for most in students? So could you share a little bit about that, Richard? I guess what colleges are looking for, what qualities they're looking for in students?
Okay, so qualities. Drama, leave at home. We don't want the drama. All right. So, and we're going to pick it up. It's amazing what we've been picking up on social media already. A lot of students have literally been posting stuff on social media that has not been good. And what's happening? Your friends are turning you in. Okay, that's social media. Now, what other kinds of quality we're looking for? We're looking for our campus, for example, we're looking for students who are really passionate about what? Learning, passionate about sharing who they are, passionate about making the community a bigger and a better place, right? Bringing good morals to our campuses. And so those are some of the qualities we're looking for. People who really want to learn. And you're going to get the opportunity to do research on this campus. Professors, they're gobbling you up because the passion that you bring, or those sort of characters, I really want to learn this, they open up their research centers and they just sort of bring you right in to literally support them. So bring the energy of positiveness on our college campus, and the door is wide open for you.
Awesome. I want to throw that out to all of the other schools too. Are there any qualities that you are looking for? Just knowing that our coalition membership is so vast and diverse. Anything else you all would like to add?
I will.
Oh, go ahead, Brenna. Okay. I just wanted to mention, I think it's important to really understand, this whole process can be very stressful. It can feel very overwhelming. Like, I get it. We all did this and we all did it. Well, I won't speak for my colleagues, but I did it without online applications. We did it on paper. So, this is all a really stressful process. We understand that. And I think we're working hard on our end to try and make it less that way. But one thing I want you all to keep in mind as you go throughout the next few years and then start applying to college is we are looking for reasons to admit you. We are not looking for reasons to not admit you. So I know that kind of sounds like, a quote you'd put on a poster on a wall, but it really is true. We are looking for reasons to admit you. We're not on the hunt for things that we're going to, dock you points for. Okay. So it's really important to keep that frame of mind. And parents too, it's important to understand that for your kids as well. So when we talk about qualities, we want to see somebody who, as Richard said, is passionate about learning. They want to go to class. They are excited about studying. subjects that they can sort of focus in on. That's one of the great things about college is that, like I think maybe Brenna said, if you're not a math person, I am not a math person. I'd rather write a paper all day long. So when you get into college and you get into your major and your program, like you have the opportunity to do more of what you love and not completely get rid of the things that you don't love, but you don't have to do quite as much as that. So for me, I did a lot of writing papers in college. I didn't do that many math problems. Okay. So just keeping in mind that, you like to learn, you like to go to class, you want to be an involved member of the community. Those are the things that are important to us. We want to see that you have contributed to your high school or your community or your family in some way, and in hopes that you're going to do that when you show up on our campus.
Awesome. Thank you, Logan, and thank you, Richard. So one question that came in is a student was wondering about if they actually spend a lot of time helping family, and that restricts them from doing club activities at school, or if they have to work, is that going to affect their admissions decision, and do colleges look poorly upon that? See, I don't even need to ask anyone because I see all of the head shaking. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next question then. So I have a question for you, Brittany. Oh, but I'll let Logan.
I was going to say one more thing, Derek. I would say we don't care. That is part of life. And I think after this year with the COVID pandemic, I think that we'll see even more of that. But one thing I want you to make sure of is, if that is your case, if you spend a lot of time taking care of family or spend a lot of time working, make sure that when you complete your application, in many cases and on Coalition, it gives you the opportunity to write a short description of that particular activity. Go ahead and write in there, look, I'm responsible for a lot of stuff at home. I help my parents, I help my grandparents, I help my brother, or I have to work to help support my family. Just write a short description in there so that we understand, that we want to understand the amount of time that you spend doing those things, because that's really important. And as a committed member of your family or having to work or what, that's so great. That is a win, a plus in our book for sure. Just make sure to tell us about it.
Awesome. Thank you. So another question that I see in here is, when should a student start planning for college? I'll throw that out to you, Brenna. When should a student even start planning?
Right now, during this webinar. So as early as possible. However, I just like the big caveat here is that is not meant to say there is pressure for you to start building your college list as a 9th grader and start working on your extracurricular list. Like, no. And in fact, it will serve you better in your mental health, in your academics, and in your college applications if you actually go through high school for you, right? You pursue things because you want to do them, not because you think Swarthmore or UNH will like them, right? But that said, when you start thinking about these things now, you have more time to digest what type of place could be a good fit for me. Where would I be happy? Where would I be successful? Oh, maybe I am interested in something computer related. So maybe I'm going to take some more advanced math classes. And because I've thought about that as a freshman or a sophomore, I'm actually positioning myself to get into calculus as a senior, right? So that is a good thing, right? That is a really good thing. It doesn't mean you need to start your essays now, my gosh. And that's why the coalition has these tools that are not meant to say, okay, this is another piece of homework you need to do, right? It's like, hey, this is a low barrier to entry to get you thinking about the things that when it comes time, that summer between your junior and senior year, when you start to like create application accounts and you're like filling out the real thing, you're like, oh, wait, I've actually thought a little bit about why I've done what I've done. I've thought a little bit about these classes. I want to do engineering, and heck yes, I'm going to take calculus and physics my senior year. Like, look at me. So that you should start now in that regard, not because it's like, you have to start or you're not going to get into college. That is not at all the case. Like, Y'all, I applied to college on the deadline. Don't do that, but I did it. I got into college, like it happened. So I wish I wouldn't have. It was very stressful. So just start thinking now, but don't put pressure on yourself to like be the perfect applicant. That doesn't exist.
Thank you. Yes, definitely do not do it on the deadline. Start early and stress less, folks. Awesome. So we do have a student who actually said, what if they don't know what they want to be, or they don't feel particularly passionate about any specific extracurricular? Do you all have any pieces of advice on how to explore or how to find your passion? I'll let Brittany start, and then we can open it up to everyone.
Yeah, I kind of have two pieces of advice for that. The first is, don't worry, you're not alone. And colleges, we're sort of here for you in that way. So many colleges, particularly liberal arts schools, do not need you to come in with a major and your passion decided. Our most popular major for our first years is undecided. You do not have to declare your major to the end of your sophomore year. So that could be for first years, what, 3.5 years from now, would you need to know what it is you want to study? So just sort of relax and realize that even once you get into college, you have time to take a class that just sounds exciting. Engage in a course with a professor you've heard really great things about. Take a course because you've never taken a class in that department before, maybe Africana Studies or Comparative American Studies or Latin, something your school has never offered. You have time to find your passion, and colleges, we are here to help you discover what that is, because we have faculty that are really excited to engage with you. The other part of that, I would say, is use your summers and use the different resources in your community. You're going to have a lot of information coming from Coalition with encouragements on how to connect with different individuals, and from your school with opportunities for summer engagements and things of that nature. So just sort of keep your options open and use your summers wisely for ways to narrow down possible. So that's going into mathematics because you love calculus, or completely going into a different direction. Maybe drawing and art is your fit. Make sure you're just giving yourself time to explore, but also know that that time will continue of exploration once you're in college.
I'd like to say something. Parents, it's all right to go in undeclared liberal arts. They're not going to get lost. A lot of the students, I have a young woman who's working for me. She came in with a major in mind, and she changed her majors 4 times. Finally, she becomes a social worker. She's now working in the admissions office, and she's an extraordinary human being. So it's all right, parents. Give them the opportunity to discover.
Awesome. Thank you. So that I think, Brittany, you had mentioned something about the summers. And so a student did ask, what should they do during the summer after their freshman year or their sophomore year? And should they look into summer programs or pre-college programs? So I am going to throw that out to anyone, actually. And it looks like Logan, you might have some answers for that. So I'll let Logan take that first.
Sure. I think that's a great thing, to think about, to do some research and think about different summer camps. A lot of colleges and universities offer programs for students, especially for students who are rising sophomores or rising juniors, and they're more sort of fun. So for example, at UK, we have engineering camps for rising sophomores, and you hang out with an engineering professor, you light your hand on fire, you like do all these cool experiments, and it's just fun. So research, you can Google summer programs in your area, and things come up. So definitely consider those opportunities. Some other sort of more basic things I think are really important to do are to read. I know that you're like, oh, if you have to do a lot of summer reading, you're like, oh my gosh. But research shows us, studies show us that if you continue to read throughout the summer, it takes a lot less time to sort of get back into the swing of things when you go back to school. And also it is shown to help increase your GPA, increase your test scores if you're taking the ACT or SAT. So just read. That could be a book. that could be a sports blog or a magazine, or, I mean, there's so many options, but make sure that you're taking some time to like jog your brain and have your brain do some exercise every single day, because that will help, like I said, ease you back into the transition of high school, but it will also help you, sort of prepare and sort of get your brain nice and strong for your standardized tests as well. So that's another very simple 15 minutes a day, read something, and that you'll be really shocked at how much that could increase especially your test score. So keep that in mind.
Awesome, thank you. So another student had asked, are there any websites or resources that you all have or know of where a student can start to explore possible majors that all of your wonderful schools offer? Do you have any advice on that, Brenna?
Well, so, I mean, utilizing the coalition resources in all of the member schools, so yes, there are lots of organizations kind of like the coalition, like the College Board. Those are the folks that administer the SATs, right? They have these like big organizations that have these online kind of quizzes that will like ask you information about what you're interested in, or what type of school you want, how big, how small, and they'll kind of shoot out information about these things. So there are also lots of lists. I will say, when you start this process and if you're like Googling or web searching, engineering majors, you're often going to be given results that are like school rankings. Like, these are the best engineering majors. And I just want to put out a note of like caution about these things, that they don't indicate that the quality of the school is the best, right? And so I will say things like that can be very helpful to just expose you to like, oh, well, this school shows up on this list that Forbes ranked or whatever, and I'd never heard of it. So I'm going to look at it because they have engineering and I'm interested in engineering, and that is not a bad thing. But I just want to say, don't limit yourself to looking at like US News and World Report rankings. Like, you are involved with the coalition because you're here, right? And as Derek talked about in the beginning, like, coalition schools, we're great schools because we support our students really well, right? So starting here and saying like, okay, what do these schools offer? And that will not only help you find like schools that have things you're interested in, but will also expose you to things you never thought about, right? Like, what is gender and sexuality studies? I don't know, but like Swarthmore has that. Maybe I'll look at that. So start with the resources that you're already engaged with, right? You're here with Coalition, start with Coalition, right? There's, other applications out there. Questbridge, they have a bunch of partner schools. You can look at those and see what they have. So that's not like, I'm not putting a web, I don't know if you want me to like throw some links in the chat, but that is how I would start these things, right? Like, start by accessing here, start by Googling like schools with engineering, and then be an informed consumer about like, hey, if I'm seeing something on US News and World Report, sure, great, that's helpful, but that doesn't mean that's the only place that has this, or that doesn't mean it's the best school for me or for anyone. So, yeah.
Can I just also add to that? I was really excited about geology as a high school student. So when I started looking through the Fisk guide, which was only a paper guide when I was a student, I don't know if they've digitized it, but I was flipping through the Fisk guide for the best geology undergraduate schools. That wasn't a thing, right? That didn't really exist. Geology is such a small field. So when you are really excited about a topic and maybe you know exactly what it is you want to study, that doesn't mean you have to go to just the schools that are listed for that. Or if it doesn't appear at all, that doesn't mean it's not a great program. So when that comes to fit, feel free to find the schools that have lots of things that you're interested in, not necessarily the ones that are showing up on the list, or the ones that people know of the most. There's definitely a balance that's there. Some of the best advice I've gotten from people is for students to maybe, when you find a school you're super excited about and you know you want to apply, keep that to yourself. You don't need to share it with everyone. Sort of, it takes off a lot of the pressure, right? You know that's your favorite school and the one that you're most excited about. Feel free to keep that to yourself.
Can I add one little thing also, Derek? I am from a really small town. I had 96 kids in my graduating class, like a very rural community. I'll never forget when I was, I guess in the 9th grade, we did like a career shadowing program and we had to submit what we were interested in. Well, I submitted advertising because that's what I was interested in. I wound up job shadowing a veterinarian's office because there ain't no advertising in my hometown. It's so tiny. Okay. So I think what a lot of students fall victim to, especially if they come from maybe smaller communities where there's not quite as much industry, you kind of think that like you go to college to be like a nurse, a teacher, a doctor, you know, like you don't have a lot as much diversity in terms of careers like that surround you every day. So sometimes you're kind of boxed in on like, what could I do? You would be so shocked at the jobs that are possible, the things that our students are doing when they graduate. So if you see something on TV, let's say you're like a CSI Miami kind of person and you like that television show and you're like, that's an awesome job. I don't know anybody who does that personally, but that's what I'm interested in. Call a college, Google it, call up UK and say, how do I do this job? And they're going to be able to tell you, well, if you take this degree path, that in a way could lead you to that career. So dream big, think outside the box. If you ever wonder, who does that job? Ask, because it might be that it's a pretty simple path to get there. So think outside the box. Don't limit yourself in terms of the careers that you see around you every day, because for you, that might not be that many. That was certainly the case for me. So dream big, dream big.
And a lot of the colleges, you can also go on their website and look at the various majors that they have. If you want to be a liberal arts person, you can go there and just pop up the liberal arts and it'll give you all of the majors. You want to be an engineer, it'll tell you all of the majors, no matter what it is. And as Logan says, give them a call and say, where do we wind up after we finish after 4 years? So yeah, very good.
Awesome. So you all are kind of talking about different majors, different careers. So one student wanted to know, what should they even be looking for in a college? I know we've talked about majors and academics, but is there anything else that students should look at or consider when applying to college? Brittany?
Yes. And there are a few things, and I'm sure my colleagues here will fill in the blanks of things I missed. The first I would say is look for the type of community, environment, and people that make you happy, that challenge you in a good, healthy way. So if you are a person that works best in an academically competitive environment, then look for that in a school. If you're in a person that does not feel very comfortable in an academically competitive environment, look for those types of school. That's a very different space. If you're the type of student that wants to be in a larger lecture hall space where everyone is sort of learning and listening together and digesting with one another, then go to a larger school. If you're the type of student that wants to be seen and direct eye contact with that professor, go to a school that's going to have smaller classroom sizes. If you want to be in a space where students are staying on campus during the weekends because everything is right there, you're looking for a residential experience where people aren't leaving every weekend or going to a different area, a city or a town, that's going to be a very specific environment. So I would think of the things that make you happy. Think of the different environments where you would feel comfortable exploring, you feel comfortable and encouraged to make different types of friends, because that's going to be the best fit college for you. So that could be in a city, in a more urban environment, that could be in a more rural environment. Think of the different places that right now you are always excited to go because there's a college there, right? All the different places you've visited, or it could be with family, or the places you live now, those environments that you really like, there's a college that is likely in that exact same environment somewhere. So those could be the spaces that you find. So my advice would be to think of fit as places that can encourage you and help you thrive.
I'd like to add some more to that list, fabulous list. We want to think about size, what class ratio. We want to think about, which all the parents are calling us now about, cost. We want to know the cost. Can we really afford this? We want to know, as you said, Brent, do I have contact with professors? What kind of programs do they have? I had a young lady who called last night. She wanted to know, what kind of clubs and organizations do you have? How far are you away from the city if you're in a suburban area? How do I get around? What kind of sports do you have? Do you have Division I team? Are students really interested in sports? So those are some of the others, and I know everyone else can add other reasons, what to look for.
Yeah. So actually that you hit on a really important piece, which was the affordability piece. And so one student actually submitted a question that said, I come from a low income family. What can they be doing now in 9th and 10th grade to ensure that they don't have to take out an exorbitant amount of loans when they go to college? um, Logan, do you have any advice on that?
Sure. That is a great question. I think first and foremost, you're going to want to focus on your academics. I mean, when you submit that application, Richard's over there holding up his hard copy, his chart. It is really important to focus on academics, because if you don't have a strong GPA, then that's going to limit you in a lot of ways. So keep in mind that when you apply to colleges in the fall of your senior year, in most cases, I would say 95% of cases, when you submit your transcript, it is only going to have your your grades, your courses listed from your freshman through the end of your junior year. So make sure that you don't wait until your junior year to get really serious about school. Get serious about school now so that you have a really strong foundation. And as you get into your junior and senior year, and maybe you start to take on more AP courses or honors courses or whatever it may be, that you have a really strong foundation, so that if you struggle in one of those classes, it's not that big of a deal, because you did really well your freshman and sophomore year. I would say that is the number one issue that I see with students, not just low income, but all the time. Students will call me and say, well, Logan, why didn't I get this, or why didn't I do that? And I'm like, I'm doing really well in my senior courses. Well, we don't see those a lot of times when you submit your application. So don't wait to get serious until you're a little bit older. Get serious now and build a really strong foundation of good, solid A's and B's, so that you have that to work on your junior and senior year. I would say that is by far the number one thing. Keep your academics up, keep your GPA up. And beyond that, I think it's a good time to start learning how to and being comfortable with asking questions. So talk to your counselor at your school, talk to folks at colleges. If you know that you want to stay in state for college, for example, reach out to some colleges in your area and say, here's my situation. When I get to be a junior or a senior, what scholarships are going to be available for me? What opportunities are going to be available for me? And you can go ahead, and depending on what they tell you, you can go ahead and start working on those things now. But be really comfortable asking questions. And I know that sometimes when we're talking about, maybe like low income students, or maybe when we're talking about diversity programs, or maybe, sometimes there are certain topics of conversation that are a little bit more sensitive and sometimes harder to talk about. But keep in mind that you're not alone, and we deal with these types of situations all the time. So we're experienced with it. You're not alone. We're happy to talk about it. It's totally normal for us. So don't feel like you're embarrassed or you're unsure, whatever, to ask questions, because we see these things all the time, and we're happy to help. And I would say for most of us, the students who have to overcome more challenges than others are sometimes like our favorite students to champion, because we know they have to overcome a lot. So reach out, don't be scared, holler at us. We're happy to help all the time.
Can I just add to that a little bit? Sorry, I jumped right in front of you, Brandon. Yes, we're friendly. See how nice and kind we are? We're excited to speak with you and answer your questions. So I love that was your tip, Logan. Also, do not be intimidated by that sticker price. Call us, ask us questions. We are happy to explain the situation to parents and family members and students alike. And if you are a low-income student, consider looking at colleges that meet 100% of demonstrated need. I'll say that again, 100% of demonstrated need. that might be a phrase you've never heard before. It could be a phrase already of a list of schools that you've been considering. What that means is that those colleges will not place a gap between how much your family is expected to be able to contribute and how much the college costs. So for low income students, that's a great way to have this security in a school knowing, okay, I know it's going to be a reasonable and affordable school for me and my family because they're going to meet the need that I demonstrate by submitting the FAFSA and in many cases, as well as the CSS profile. If these are all a bunch of terms you've never heard before, that's okay. I know the coalition is going to have even more sessions like Leon Financial Aid, but that's just a little bit. Look out for those schools that meet 100% of demonstrated need.
Thank you. That was awesome. So surprisingly, we're almost at the hour now. So I want to ask at least one question more to each of you. So the question that I would like to ask you, Richard, a student wants to know how many colleges should they even plan on applying to? Oh, I think you might be on mute.
I'm encouraging my grandchildren to do no more than 5. But what I want them to do now is to go off and begin to look at the colleges now. 9th grade, matter of fact, some of them are already doing it in 8th grade. But by 9th grade, you're really looking at what is it that you want to study? Do you want to be in the city? Do you want to be in the suburbs? Where do you want to be? What colleges are offering those kinds of majors that you're thinking about? Cut out that chart, put it on the wall, and then begin to really think about that. Alrighty? Go back to that merit scholarship issue. While you're on that chart, pull out the merit scholarship list. You can see where the presidential and the deans or whatever those scholarship names are. Pull those out as you're doing this, searching for these colleges. Pull them out and literally put that next to it so you know year to year, what is it that you, yes, I want to go to this college, but what is it going to cost? And matter of fact, mom and dad, I'm going to help you pay for this because you see this presidential scholarship? That is what I am going to strive to accomplish. So you don't have to pay for this one if I decide to go for this one. But I would say for me, I see a lot of students going 10 and 12, but I'm saying a good 5 colleges or universities should be a good list. And maybe others would have other thoughts about that. But for me, 5.
Say it just like everything, it depends, right? It depends on you and your situation. I would say, sometimes we're seeing students apply to like 25, 30. I think we can all agree that's way too many. I think a typical list that I see, not saying this is right for everyone, can hover around this 10 to 15 range, but it's totally up to you, right? So sometimes you're like super self-directed from the beginning. I'm an engineer. I break stuff and put it back together. And like, I have these schools and I like in-state makes sense for me because I want to be by my family, all this stuff, right? You can have a few schools on your list. And sometimes you're like, y'all, I'm from Alaska. I applied to schools all over the country because I literally had no idea, didn't know anything. And I was just like, DC is the same as New Hampshire, is the same as Washington State, because it was all not Alaska. And I applied to a lot of schools because I didn't start early, because I didn't start and think about like, what sort of thing would be a good fit? And that's when you get into the like 35 schools. If you've done work starting now, because y'all are, you will have a list that feels manageable. Some schools I might not get into, but they could be great because they're super selective. Some I'm pretty sure I'm going to get into, and some in the middle. And I think that can hover that range. There can be a range there.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. So one question that came in is about kind of wellness and self-care. So it can be a lot to think about everything going on with college, with the stress and pressure of school and everything else that's going on. So how can a student kind of take care of themselves? So the self-care and wellness, even amidst all of those kind of pressures. Brittany, do you have any advice for us?
Sure. So one is what I mentioned earlier, and that's keep maybe your favorite school or school you're excited about to yourself, because there's a lot of pressure that comes with telling people, oh, I'm applying to this school. Then they want to know everything about it. And how did you hear about it? Or, oh, that didn't make the top whatever list. So sort of remembering that this process is your process, So doing what's best for you. So when you inevitably get family members, strangers, classmates asking, oh, it's college season, where are you applying? Or what's this? Feel free to say, I'm not prepared to share. That's not something I want to engage in. That is completely fine. I'll also add another way to kind of balance your health is in part of your essay. So one piece of advice that I've heard from a colleague that I absolutely love is that when you're thinking about your college essays and what to share, we understand that as young adults, you only have so many unique experiences, right? You've all been through COVID. So you might think, oh, I can't write about that. Everyone else is writing about that. Your unique experience, how you reflect on something is going to be different. So if every single student in your school wrote about getting their driver's license, but if everyone also reflected on that experience and why it was important or relevant for them, every single essay would be different. So do not focus on necessarily reliving a trauma just to sort of share the most impactful thing in your life because you think you need to disclose everything. Instead, share your reflection on something that's happened to you and how you're sort of moving forward with it, connecting to your passions and your interests. So I would definitely say those are the two pieces: keeping things to yourself and only sharing things through reflection and moving forwards.
Awesome. And then this is one question. I've seen it come in the Q&A as well, but Logan, do you mind kind of touching on students are asking, do they have to take standardized tests? Should they take standardized tests? So just your thoughts on that right now.
That is a great question. And it has been a very buzzy topic this year. Because of COVID, a lot of schools, a lot more sort of professionals in our sort of realm of work have started to think more and more about that test score and how much that matters. So there are some schools that do not require a test score. There are some schools that do. So first and foremost, when you're thinking about taking the ACT or the SAT, it's just important to kind of do a check-in on the schools that you think you might be interested in, because you don't want to not take it if one of your top 5 schools requires a test. So just in terms like logistically, you kind of want to do a check to see if your school requires it or if they don't. So that's the first thing. And that, again, that's purely just a logistical thing. You want to make sure that you have everything that you need to apply. If you are looking at a ton of schools that are test optional and they don't require a test score, that's perhaps a whole nother conversation. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's important for a student to take a standardized test once. And at the very least, take it once. And I think sometimes students surprise themselves with how well they do. And I think also for a lot of students who are really strong students, taking a test is just not a good indication of what they're capable of. But you never know if you don't try it, right? So I think we're going to see a lot of changes with the ACT and the SAT over the next several years in terms of who requires it, how they use it as part of their admissions process. And we don't know all of those answers at this moment, but I do think we're going to see a lot of changes by the time that you guys get ready to go to school. But as you know, you approach your sophomore or junior year and folks start to talk about a standardized test. Take it once, see what happens, and then, talk to your counselor at school. It's really important that you're utilizing the counselor at your school because they can help in a lot of ways. If they're busy and you want to talk to one of us, we can help you as well. So logistically, check to make sure your schools either require it or don't require it. Number 2, take it once at least and see what happens. And then third and finally, this type of question is so sort of dependent on your specific situation. So it's hard to answer for the entire group. So again, reach out to a trusted adult, like a teacher, a counselor, or one of us at a school to talk through and see what the best plan of action is for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Logan. So before we wrap up, I did want, Richard, I wanted you to weigh in on this because there was a question that was submitted by a parent or a guardian, and you were talking about your children and grandchildren. So they wanted to know if their child is in 9th grade and they don't seem to know what their interests are, or if they even want to start talking about college. Do you have any advice on how to start engaging a student in ninth grade just about college in general?
I would say definitely let's take some field trips. You know, it could be local, doesn't have to be a distance at this moment, but let's do some field trips. Let's visit various kinds of colleges. And the summer is coming up, and I'm hoping that colleges and university campuses will open up. And I would say that is one of the best way to do it. Literally get out there. And also, once more again, you got the computer. Let's look at it. Let's look at these colleges and computers, just in case, you know, you don't have the time to really do the field trip. Look, the internet is there, and beautiful images, majors, and all kinds of information. But that's what I would do. And really spend time talking to your kids about the importance of education. You know, I said that it is education that will give you freedom and opportunities. That is real. You know, it is real. I was born a sharecropper in this country. I'm not there now, all because of the power of education, freedom, and opportunities.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Richard. Also, I mean, I think that was great advice you said about being able to visit and explore colleges. As I talked about, those coalition exploration scholarships, by just, you know, creating an account as a 9th or 10th grader, you can win one of those scholarships, which will help you if you want to go explore any of these wonderful schools that are here, as well as the many other coalition schools that are across the US. So we are a little bit over time. Just wanted to open it up really quickly, have everyone share maybe like a 30-second quick piece of advice right before we wrap up. And I'm going to have Brenna start, and then we'll go with Brittany, and then Richard, and we'll wrap it up with Logan, and then we'll call it a night.
Give yourself grace. This process is stressful, and it will be stressful for you and folks with whom you're in community. And give yourself grace through this process. You've heard, we all love the word passion in admissions. And I just want to say, we're used to saying it a lot, but you don't have to have your passion. Okay. Okay, my passion is Sprout, my dog, and also admissions, but like, I'm much older than you. So it is okay if you don't have a passion. You're going to hear it all the time. We need your passion. If you're like, look, I'm still exploring, and you're still exploring in college, good, you're doing it right. So give yourself grace.
My advice is that you are definitely not in this alone. I was a first generation college student, so my parents were there for me emotionally. They were there to sort of knock down any door that they needed to, but they weren't sure which door to start with. And yes, I had my school counselor, but it was also really helpful just to realize that every single teacher that you have has gone to college. I didn't realize that for some reason when I was in high school. So that favorite teacher, the one that you go to chat with, the one you hang out with during lunch, you can also have college conversations with them. This doesn't need to be something you only do by yourself in your room, flipping through college websites on your phone. This could be a truly community and supportive effort. People are here for you. We are here for you. I talk about students about college in general. I don't just have Oberlin moments with every student that I engage with. We really are here to have these types of conversations, just assisting you with navigating this process. So just know that you are not doing this alone. There are lots of people, including us, that are here to support you.
So Zig Ziglar, if he was here this evening, he would say to each and every one of you, you're all born to win. In order to win, you got a plan to win. And that's what you're doing today. This is your plan to win. And if you're born to win, plan to win, don't ever expect not to win. I wish you all the best. See you all at the top.
It's hard to go last in pieces of advice. You feel like things are, have already been said. I have a colleague who always, sort of bouncing off what Richard has said, he always says, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And so I think it's really important that you just don't push all this stuff away and like wait until your junior and senior year to think about it all, which you guys aren't doing because you're here tonight. So you've taken the first step in this really important process. I think it's okay to, you're going to hear a lot of folks like us say, don't be stressed, take a deep breath. And I do that all day long. I tell students to do that all day long. But then again, sometimes I remember it's okay to be stressed about this. This is a huge decision. It's a major financial investment. It's a major time investment. It is, in so many ways, as Richard mentioned earlier, education is going to impact your life in more ways than you can ever imagine. It's not just about the job you get when you get out of college, okay? It impacts your community. It impacts, in a lot of cases, your significant other. I mean, literally, like, all the things. It impacts where you live. I mean, there's so many things that education is going to impact in your life. And that is really awesome and cool. And so consider this process something you get to do and have fun with it. And don't consider it as much of something you have to do, that you're forced to do, okay? Think about it as something you get to do and be excited about it. And don't, again, I'm going to tell you, don't stress about it. You're going to stress about, I mean, you are, you're going to stress about it, but keep in mind that it's something you get to do. It can be fun. It is not the most terrible thing you'll ever experience. Like, sometimes I feel like students feel like it is. So have fun and don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. That's my number one piece of advice. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. We're here. Job security on our part.
You all are incredible. Thank you so much. My biggest piece of advice for you all tonight is to go and create a My Coalition account. Follow us on Instagram. So those are my two big pieces of advice for tonight. But wanted to go ahead and wrap up here. Sorry for going over, folks, but I thought it was definitely worth it. So thank you all to the panelists here. Thank you to everyone who attended and for submitting questions and for bearing with us. And yeah, I'm going to wrap it up and call it a night. So everyone have a really great evening. We look forward to seeing you at the next Coalition event. Possibly at the May Virtual College Fair. So have a good night, everyone. See ya. Thanks.